One thing that makes investing in multifamily real estate so powerful is the power that you can get from adding value to a property. So you're getting a deal that's below market and maybe rents, needs work, mismanaged, all that kind of stuff, and then you fix that and add value and increase the property. But the multiple on that can be kind of crazy when you start to look at it. So for this, just going to show you how you can a couple of ways you can add value to your multifamily property, and then the power of doing so. So for this one, we're just going to look at a example 10-unit property. So I have 10 ways you can add value here. A lot of these are the common ways to do so, but there are plenty more that you can do. For this 10-unit example, we're going to say that we're looking at an area where the market cap rate for that area is 7%. So basically, how the property is valued is 7%. So you would take the NOI of the property, the net operating income, divide it by 7%, and that gives you the value for the property. So we're going to do that same thing with increases to the income for the net operating income through value add measures, and then just look at some of the increases in the power of it. So the first one you always look at is unit renovation. So for this 10-unit property, we assume you're renovating all the units. Let's say you're adding, when you do the renovation, the rents are going up $200 a unit per month. That adds up to an NOI increase for the year to $24,000. And then at a 7 cap, that's a $342,000 increase to the property's value just by doing unit renovations alone. So that's huge. So that's why it's great to find a deal where you have below market rents. I know there was the one 5-unit property that I bought not that long ago. The rents were $425 a month. And post renovation, we got one of the rents up to $995 for a 2-bedroom. So it's a huge increase. And that's where you can really find a lot of value, increase the value of a property. So let's say you could also add storage. Is there storage capabilities at the properties? Maybe you have a shed or some sort of building that you can add storage into, or even just build storage. Let's say if you added storage, 6 storage units for $50 a month, you're looking at $51,000 in added value to the property. Another great way is by allowing pets at your property. You can even do a security deposit for the pet, specifically a non-refundable security deposit, which is pretty common to kind of help you mitigate the damage that the pet might do to the property. But then there's traditionally also a monthly pet fee. So if 4 out of the 10 units had pets, paying $35 extra a month for that pet fee, you're looking at $24,000 increase to the property value just by that alone. Covered parking is another one, especially if you're in an area where there's inclement weather and people want to keep their car like out of the snow, out of the rain, out of the heat if it's really bad heat somewhere. So covered parking spots can be beneficial. So let's say you added 4 at $50 a month. You're looking at $34,000 increase to the property value. Tech package is another way. Maybe you offer if it's an area where you're really upgrading the units nice. Maybe it's a way that they can use their app to get into their unit without a key. Smart thermostats, all that kind of stuff. If you offer a bunch of that, maybe you can increase rent $25 a month for the people that go with that package. So even if only 4 of them would do that, that's $17,000 that you'd be adding to the property's value. Another one, if you add more units, so maybe you have an office. Let's say for this example, there's an office unit that the landlord was using that you no longer need it, and you convert it to a unit. Let's say the rent was $1,000. You figure since you're adding on that unit, you're going to have an extra $200 of expenses for that unit a month. So the net amount's $800. That would add $137,000 just by converting that office to another unit to give you an 11-unit property. So it's huge. You could also add bedrooms. So I've done this before with one property. We had this really large 2-bedroom, sorry, and it had this awkward big space that wasn't being used for anything. So we basically walled it off, created an extra bedroom there, and then rented it as a 3-bedroom. And we got $200 extra a month just by doing that. And it costs us, I think, like $800 to do that renovation. So if you, let's say you could add an extra bedroom to 2 of the 10 units and make it from 2 bedroom to 3 bedroom or 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom, whatever it is, get an extra $150 a month per unit. You're looking at $51,000 in additional property value by doing that. Or if, let's say your units are too small, there's no laundry there. What if you put in a coin operated laundry or a card operated laundry? Let's say that brings in $100 a month with the laundry room that you added. That would be $17,000 that you could add to the property. Another one, this is more on the expense line of thing, is instituting a RUB system. So maybe you have, and that stands for ratio utility billing system, but it's basically a way that you can, if you're paying all of the utilities as a landlord or certain utility, you can do that so that you can offload some of it to the tenant. You basically, it's a way to calculate what each tenant would owe, and then bill back for that. So let's say you instituted that for all 10 of your units. You were beforehand, you're paying all their, let's say, water and sewer a month, and that was $75 per unit. Now you're getting paid back because they're paying that. You're dropping your expenses $75 a month per unit. You'd be adding $128,000 to the income or to the value of the property by reducing basically that income by 9,000, reducing the expenses by $9,000. So that's huge. And then the other one, maybe you want to upgrade your property management. You have a property there that your property management is just not doing great. They're charging you extra for things they shouldn't. They're not doing great at collecting rents. Let's say you just upgrade your property management. It saves you only $250 a month expenses for this 10-unit property. You'd be looking at $42,000 that you added to the property's value just by reducing that property management expense a little bit. So there's 10 ways that you can add significant value to your property, and this is why multifamily investing is so valuable and so powerful, because you can get a property that's worn down, the last owner didn't treat it right, and you can upgrade it and get basically a multiple on the amount of value that you add, and just really build wealth that way. And then if you add a significant amount of value, if the interest rates are low, maybe it makes sense to refinance, pull the money out that you put into the property, or just after a couple of years when you're done doing all these value adds, you sell the property for a significant amount for what you paid for it. So these are a couple of ways to add value, but there's plenty more. So always look for properties that can use an extra value added to the property to build your wealth.